Alright, so I'm making this follow-up on the video I did last week about my whole computer situation and everything, as I promised at the end of the video. Now, the comments went from wall to wall, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna basically sum up the comments you guys left there, because generally speaking, there were a lot of you effectively just leaving the same comments. So I'm gonna go over a few points here, and hopefully you guys will get your questions answered, if you had any. So loads of you mentioned that it could be, you know, specific things about my computer, or like, sorry, specific parts on my computer that could be failing. For example, GPU. Yes, GPU is indeed failing. During streams, I'm having encoder issues. When I'm rendering a video with Premiere, I'm having renders fail completely. Sometimes the video that is just rendered cuts off like halfway through and doesn't play the rest of the video, which I've also realized is sometimes because I don't have enough space on my SSD, which is true. That does sometimes happen, but even when I do have perfectly enough space, plenty of space, that issue still happens. Oh, and quite often Shadowblade recordings will be corrupted. And besides that, I've noticed there's graphical anomalies while playing certain games like you wouldn't usually see anymore. Like, some might say it's the game's fault, some might not, but then again, I'm seeing just pretty much minor things that I don't see anyone else like experiencing. So I feel like I'm like alone in this boat. I mean, there might be other people, obviously. There might be a lot of other people who might be experiencing them, but I'm not seeing it. Now, some of you also mentioned that it could be the motherboard or PSU or RAM. Now, a motherboard and PSU, I'm not too sure about that, but RAM, I can guarantee you absolutely is part of the problem. The thing is, I bought this PC as a pre-built, so when it was built, I don't know what settings were in BIOS, but everything ran swimmingly. It was perfect. But effectively, how this whole thing like started even, it was like, what, 4 or 5 months ago now, I want to say, when the issue initiated. It was a point where I had to reset my PC completely. Unfortunately, first time, for whatever reason, it failed to do it. So then I had to do it for a second time, and then it finished, which at the time I thought it was really weird, but I moved on. But when you reset your PC, it also resets the BIOS settings, which means they got back to neutral, like as basic as possible. Was encountering quite a few issues then, so I decided to try my best and fix it one way or another. Got help from ChatGPT to basically do anything I possibly can to get the best performance possible, which I was able to do, and I was able to quote-unquote fix it. Now, down the line, obviously, that was a very bad idea. If I knew what I would have known now, I would have gone maybe like a couple levels lower to, you know, not go absolute max. Except I'm pretty sure I didn't do any overclocking. No, everything was like in the limits, but even still, with a DDR4 3200 megahertz or whatever it is, you can run it at 3200, but as far as I've seen, like, it is way safer to run it a bit slower just to, you know, keep it from dying. If I actually had it on 3200 before, I don't know, but I feel like I did, because at one point I had to lower them back again a little bit, because again, it started having issues, and it didn't feel the same. It felt like worse. Everything was just somewhat slower, but you know, I don't know. But as far as the motherboard and the PSU go, I did take the PC to a, well, I can't say a mechanic, but like a specialist. Let's say that. And the specialist outright told me that the CPU, GPU, and RAM are not doing too great, as in, you know, it's time to start thinking about replacements, which was, you know, a couple of months ago. Now, I did some testing on my own. I even did SSD test, which I think was Crystal Disk or something like that. Did a test on that, got a, which is funny, when I did the test, it was, I think, 76%. Recently, I did it again, it was at 70%, which is really concerning that it's degrading that fast. Just recently. Something is obviously not right, but you know, like this is basically why I'm trying to do this, right? I'm trying to get better parts, so before my PC completely dies off, then, you know, I can still make content. Now, some of you even suggested reinstalling Windows or factory resetting. That's where the problem started, as I already told you guys. Now, the problems did start there, and I tried one more time resetting computer, which was, you know, it was fairly easy because I was able to, or like I had already like the BIOS information and everything from ChatGPT available, so I was able to like reset the settings back then, and it did nothing. Like, nothing got fixed. And then at one point, point, I kind of forcefully had to install Windows 11, and that's when everything went downhill, which made everything way worse. Like, Windows 11 for some reason just runs terribly right now, and it is making things worse. I don't know how. I'm not an expert, but what I do know is that if I could, I would go back to Windows 10, and hopefully they will fix Windows 11 soon, so everything will be better. I'm not saying that if I had Windows 10, that my PC wouldn't be dying. It would still be dying. It would still be in the same position. It's just Windows 11 feels like, even though everywhere I read, it was like, oh yeah, it's gonna take less like resources, and it's gonna be so much better for gamers. I feel like that's just a massive cap. Like, it's just... From my perspective, I'm not seeing a performance improvement. And have I checked temps and thermal paste? Yes, I did check temps. Temps were marginally fine. I even cleaned the PC not quite regularly, but like every, I want to say 4 to 5 months, which means like I grab a air can and I go through the whole thing. I take the blades, the air blades off of the CPU cooler, and I blow through that, and I try to get as close to the GPU and clear that out, and every crevice that will like intake and outtake and everything, I try to clear everything out. So temps generally are fine. Temps are not the issue. And thermal paste, when I brought it to the expert, I had finally, well, when I say finally, for some time now, I hadn't replaced it, but I did have it replaced by then. And I mean, he said it wasn't too terrible, but you know, it's still fine to replace it. So I said, okay, it's totally fine. Let's do it. And as far as like diagnostic tools go, yes, I did try out diagnostic tools on my own. Didn't really understand what any of it said, so I took screenshots and I gave it to ChatGPT. It then answered by saying, yeah, it's not doing too hot, you know, it's not doing too good. So I don't know. It's weird that I'm starting to believe the AI robot that is making RAM so expensive, but it is what it is. And obviously the expert did tests as well. It's legit, like the computer was away from me for like a couple days. Yeah, I brought in one day and I got it back the other. And yeah, he basically said the same thing that ChatGPT said. So every single possibility, effectively, like anything I could check, anything I could test, everything has been saying the same thing. So things are not too good. I did notice quite a few of you were suggesting I could replace just one part. They were actually, you know what's weird? Quite a few of you were saying these things, but for some reason, those people saying that were also like angry for whatever reason. Like, I don't understand. Now, as I said, things are failing. Technically, I've been doing War Thunder while playing War Thunder with this computer. I've been streaming and rendering for I want to say like 4 years now, if I remember correctly. So like it's been taking a toll, right? Computer has been on max pressure pretty much the whole time. Like it's like, I can imagine it, but for some reason there are people out there who are getting so angry over the fact that, you know, just replace a part. Like, why you have to replace everything? I get it. But the problem is that everything is the problem. I can't replace just one part if everything has to be replaced. So instead of just having to replace things, I'll just get a completely new setup. And I feel like that's a way smarter idea in the long run. But, you know, that's just me. Maybe there are people that agree with me, maybe not. You know, it is what it is. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Oh, and geez, oh my God. Why not buy used parts? I did see a comment from somebody who was so adamant on me getting a 3080. Like, I don't need expensive parts and whatever. Like, currently I have a 3060. 3080 is not really future proof, is it? Like, the whole point is to like get new parts that are not absolute high end, but they're also future proof. So I don't have to start thinking about replacements in the next year or two, you know, or even longer. Like like the setup that I showed you guys, which now has been actually changed a little bit, specifically motherboard and one of the SSDs has been changed. Like, that setup is, I would say it's future proof. So I'd much rather get a complete new setup instead of getting used parts. And obviously used parts are already used. They're not exactly dying, but I feel like if I wanted to continue doing content, like recording videos and streaming, I don't see I don't see using used parts as a viable option. Sure, it would be a hell of a lot cheaper, but then a couple years down the road, I would have to start looking for replacements again. Like, what is the point for that? There is no point in my eyes. Now, why NVIDIA and not AMD? My very first computer had an, actually, I don't know what CPU I had, but I know the GPU was AMD. I didn't like it. I understand that AMD is a lot cheaper, and effectively, like, getting the same performance for like the equivalent of same performance from an NVIDIA, I don't know, CPU or GPU compared to an AMD one, AMD products would be cheaper. I get that. But the difference is preference. I like to stay comfortable with what I'm buying. I don't trust AMD. Sure, a lot of people, again, that's like going down the rabbit hole with War Thunder. It's like, I don't like playing heavy tanks, and I'm not going to play them. Like, I'm not going forcefully out of my way to play them. If I'm going to play them, it's for a video. And there are people out there who love heavy tanks, and they can't get enough of them. And to you guys, I say, have fun. Enjoy. Play as much as you want. Same thing with NVIDIA and AMD. I've used NVIDIA forever now, and I absolutely love NVIDIA. The very first computer that I personally bought had NVIDIA, what was it, 1050 Ti? So GTX 1050 Ti, if I remember correctly. And I liked it. I mean, it wasn't like top of the model, but it did its job and I liked it. It was good. But then there's people out there who are like, you know what? I love AMD. AMD is absolutely perfect. And to you, I say, have at it. Enjoy. Use AMD. I am not stopping you. But I don't like AMD. I will go with NVIDIA and Intel. It is just preference. And low-key, it feels like a lot of people just don't understand that people have their own preferences. You know, now I didn't see this too much, but some people were saying that 5070 is still high end for them, at least, and that it's too expensive, and suggested going for a 3070. Now, I just want to point out that as of this moment right now, I would be able to get a 3070 here in Estonia for about 400 something euros, right? Couple euros extra. While at 5070, I could get around 600 euros. The price is slowly going up, but that's totally fine. But comparatively, for example, a 4080 would take me down to roughly, 1,500 euros. That is 1,500 euros. Now, some of you might comment, hey, Vin, but why don't you order everything from Amazon? And to that I say, hell no. I've been on the internet long enough that I've seen the horror stories of sending expensive electronics over Amazon or whatever, and by the time it gets there, all you get is a box full of rocks. I don't want to risk it, or like I don't like. I mean, it depends. Honestly, though, it does depend. If someone can explain to me how, like, Amazon has become more safe, I would say, and by the time the amount needed has been fulfilled, if I were to buy the parts from Amazon, it would be cheaper, then I would look into buying from Amazon. But at this very moment, I'm saying no to Amazon. And I also saw people saying I could just go for a 5070 Ti, and I'm right now looking at the prices. I could get one for about 900 euros, which is kind of a bit more. I feel like a normal 5070 instead of a Ti would be obviously not as powerful, but would be cheaper. And I also received a comment saying, have I tried Linux? Well, simple answer being no. More difficult answer being, I have always used Windows. I wouldn't be able to fathom Linux. I have tried Linux. I have used a computer at a friend's place way back then who had Linux on his computer, and I couldn't understand it. Maybe, obviously I was younger, not too much younger, obviously. But I feel like the learning curve to go and try Linux would be a menace. And I'm not tech savvy. I know things, but I'm not an expert. So I would obviously much rather stick with Windows, which currently is going through a rough patch, but we'll get through it. And yes, also, could it be storage, dying SSD or HDD? Yes. But what doesn't help though is the fact that I have a SSD and an HDD. Now the SSD is obviously having issues, but the fact that I also have a HDD in the big old 2026 is already a bit of an issue. Every time I try to edit a video and I'm dragging the clips from the folder to Premiere, if it's more than 100 clips, I'm waiting there for 10 to 20 minutes for Premiere to be like, okay, now all the files are in here, start editing. It takes forever. And obviously all the recordings go to the HDD. I think the only reason why I got the HDD, a 2 terabyte HDD, was because it was way cheaper back when I decided to get the computer. And SSD, obviously, I have my Windows on and the games that I have and basically everything else. Everything else is running off the SSD. And I noticed also a lot of you saying that you can't donate, but you'll support with likes, comments, and shares. Yes, that is absolutely, that is totally fine. The YouTube algorithm fucked me on that video anyway, so the only way that video would actually still get views is by me advertising it in future videos for about roughly 8 seconds. Matter of fact, you already saw the ad in one of my videos if you watched it, which also you probably did because the YouTube algorithm also fucked me on that one. But it is absolutely fine if you can't donate. I'm forcing nobody to donate to support me on this. Liking, commenting, and sharing the video absolutely helps. Specifically sharing. Sharing helps so much. So just don't even sweat it. It is completely fine. No one has hard feelings about it. No one's butthurt, except the haters. But they're haters, so it makes sense. I'm not even pressed about those guys, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, now, I almost forgot. Yeah, there were people that were also suggesting that it might be an Intel 13th, 14th gen issues. Yeah, I've heard those as well. Except that my CPU is i5 11600K. So that's an 11th gen. So I am absolutely not having that problem. And besides, the CPU I'm getting is a 12th gen, and a very good 12th gen at that. I mean, I've checked the performance figures and see how it does, and it does do pretty good. So I don't feel the need to get a 13th or 14th gen, which again would be high end compared to the, you know, like one step down pretty much. Not going too high, but staying at a reasonable spot. So I feel like this is pretty much it. I think I've covered all fields here. I'm probably not gonna make another video answering to the comments under this video. So instead of making a whole video replying to the comments here, I will actually just reply to the comments here. So like in the comments section. But what I do want to say is that there have already been so many people that have supported. I think we've hit like 25% on the Ko-fi page, which is amazing. It is truly amazing. Like, y'all have no idea how much I appreciate the love and support you guys have been sending my way. It's just it low-key got me speechless. Or maybe it's because I'm Estonian and I'm just struggling to find the English words because Estonia is my first language. Nah, I think you guys have gotten me speechless. But seriously, thank you so much. The list of names that I have available who have already donated are hopefully scrolling down the screen if I didn't forget to do that. And seriously, it's just insane. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get the amount needed for sure. I have no doubt about it. Matter of fact, I'm also going to chip in. The very little that I can chip in, I will. I will put my piece in it, obviously increase the percentage. But this way, me telling you that I'm also chipping in, you guys are aware of it. So it's just unreal how much help has been sent so far. So seriously, thank you every single one of you who is donated to the cause, and also liked, shared, and commented on the video and on this one if you hopefully do so as well. And again, if you guys have any more questions, then you can leave them down below and I will try to do my best by answering every single one of them. But seriously, guys, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Seriously, yeah, there I go. Okay, we're gonna end the video here. I'll see you all in the next one, and again, thank you. Thank you.